Hello again. Welcome to our third live session therapist couch. This time it's gonna be me, Gintare, and I'm gonna be talking to a behavioral psychotherapist, Ali, who is gonna join us just in a second. And today we're gonna discuss, a really important topic on behavioral systems, on our belief systems, right? Because our belief system is something that drives a majority of our actions, and I think Ali came here. Can we see Ali here? Okay, let's just wait a second for Ali to join us. Okay, anyways, so our belief system is something that is the foundation of our morality and plays a huge role in our ability to form and maintain relationships. And as we know, relationships are the biggest factor of making us happy, of person's happiness. So it's really important to explore our belief systems and how they can influence our relationships, right? And I hope that Ali is gonna join us soon and we will be able to ask him some important questions on this topic. Yes, so during the session, if you will have any questions for a therapist, Ali, you are more welcome to ask them on our comment section, and I think Ali is going to discuss those questions with us. Okay, so let's just wait a few minutes for Ali to join us. And also this live is going to be saved on our Instagram account, so you will be able to rewatch it later too. And we got a question from Augusta. So yes, Ali, who is just joining us now, he is a therapist on Tokitus, which is, I don't know if all of you know.
Oh, finally.
Oh, hey.
Hi. Hello. I was
Nice to
really
see you.
it's good to see you. I'm sorry about this. I just couldn't get in. I don't know why.
It's
But
okay.
this
I
is
was
a new
getting
technology.
worried. I was like, I'm not good on
Me
this
too.
topic, so I can't talk by myself.
No, no worries. No worries at all.
Yeah, I want to ask questions you. So our topic today is belief systems, yes? And
Right. Yes.
all our posters said that it's the story you've been telling yourself.
That's right.
So the story that we tell ourselves about the life is based on the beliefs that we have about life, right?
That is correct. Yes.
So can you explain us what is a belief?
Well, basically, it's important to get a holistic view of this whole thing. I mean, one says, I don't believe in this and I believe in that, just in small portions. They may succeed to a certain extent. But for me, it was always important not to just take things just bit by bit, but holistically to understand it. So to actually, where does a belief come from? I've done also research, and also I'm not the only one. There are many who are very interested in such topics and more. Where they've looked into it. And one of them is, for example, Dr. Bruce Lipton. What he said, he's a molecular biologist, and since 20 years, he's changed his life completely around by understanding much more about the body and what we call the soul and all that. For a researcher, that's a huge thing to say that. Anyway, what he mentioned, which simplifies it, he said from the third trimester in the body, when one is the womb of the mother, the consciousness starts kicking in. And when it starts kicking in, so that you begin to absorb. And I think you've heard about this before, where they say, as kids, you absorb everything. You're like a sponge, you know, they said that. We've heard that everywhere. Now,
Yeah.
why is it so? It is so because the brain waves, I mean, when you do an EEG, you get your brain waves and you can basically see that there's a beta, there's a alpha, there's a theta, and there is a delta. Okay, which one is which? Beta is the one you're fully concentrated, focused here now. Your brain is functioning. You're doing some very important tasks. Alpha is a bit lower, where you do sometimes go into meditation, all that. You bring down the level. It's a very lower frequency. And then there's a theta, which is almost like hypnosis. So basically, it's you're open. When you go to hypnotherapy and so forth, you open up those places where you go inside to see what these things are that you have kept for yourself. A lot of people go to stop smoking or to do I mean, that is the pathway inside, is a theta. And delta is when you're sleeping. So according to him, we have this theta wave from the third trimester of when the baby is in the womb until about 7 or 8 years of our life. So you're basically, and you see the kids, they have a good time. They're very imaginative. They pour cups of tea as if they're having tea, and they're very, very content with it, and they believe it's great, and they're having a good time and so forth. But in this case, everything is open, so that they're like a sponge. So they get all the information from everywhere without consciously being able to say, okay, is this correct or isn't it? They just take it in. And that is the foundation of the belief. That's where it starts. After that, when you grow older, things change a little bit through different processes, through experience, through the story you're telling yourself, as you just said. And you say that not only once, but you keep on saying it on and on and on and on. And that goes basically from your conscious awareness in your sub-unconscious, we're labeling it. So basically the part that you're not conscious of. And they rule over your consciousness. Because also according to him, daily, you're about 5% conscious. 95% of the things that you do and you think and so forth comes from that part which is not conscious to you.
Okay, so even though I feel like, oh, I'm an adult and I'm making my own decisions, it's not really so. It's
no, you're programmed. You are programmed. You're conditioned. Yes.
So, for example, so I'm a married woman. I have a husband, and I just noticed one thing, that he didn't give me flowers for some time, and I was like, I start to feel less loved, even though our relationship is great, and I, can't complain. I realized that because he didn't bring me flowers for a while, I feel like I started questioning, does he really love me? And I dig deeper into this question that I got.
Right.
And I realized that, I grew up in a family where my mom constantly got flowers. We almost always had fresh flowers in the house.
There you go. You're just saying it, yes.
So I was like, oh, okay, so it's not, I don't have to believe that I'm not loved because I didn't get flowers, but I do because that's what I saw as a love action. So,
exactly.
So we act like that a lot in life, right? And we take it as true, and we can shout about it, we can stand for it, we can die for it, but it's just because we believe in it because we saw it as true, right?
Yes, you believe in it because you let it in, and it was a great example that you just gave, and this is a live experiential thing for you, naturally. And as we're going back to what I said earlier, you said, in my childhood, when I looked, my mother got flowers, and for you, that was the thing. This is love. This means love. If somebody gives you flower, that means love. Okay, you just gave that. And that has stayed within you, which is also could be very true, but not completely true all the time, because there are so many different aspects to it. What do you feel for yourself being loved means? Being loved means A, B, C. You go through that. Okay. And sometimes I mean, your husband could give you the greatest flowers, but how he's treating you is like your heir. You see?
Yeah.
So the flowers, he loves me, but I'm air, you know, it doesn't fit, you know? So
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. It could be very tricky to just stick to one thing. You have to see it in a more holistic manner. What is love for you? What does that mean? Okay. And going back there, when the child sees, for example, the parents that are in a good childhood, loving parents and so forth, he understands that and he can give that love also out. He notices love is equals to this, or this is a relationship. Now imagine the same child or another child sees that their parents are continuously in arguments. The mother comes and tells him something, the father comes and says against each other and so forth. So he's grabbing that in and he sees the world. That's how it is. That's how people are. So I gotta watch out. So everybody wants to use the other one. They want to do, so this becomes their sort of mental construct of it, of what's going on around them. And they see everybody that way. They have
And,
issues with relationships themselves
and I
and so
even
forth because of it.
think I met some people who are particularly looking for relationships that are full of
Mm-hmm.
argument, or, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
always like wondered, why would you like to be in my view, in such a deconstructive relationship?
Because
But
yeah, and then it could be, see, you have to understand a lot of I mean these are some emotional aspects which is important to know, but some, for example, for them being in a relationship means to argue. If I have someone to argue, then great. If I'm alone, I can't argue with myself. Of course you can do that too, but you won't have a good time. With the others, you want, this is a relationship, you know, I have someone to do this with, but they don't know that that's basically detrimental. And how long do you want to go with this pain? Hey, it's your choice. Take all the pain you want. You know, there's nobody stopping you. You can have as much as you want. But sometimes or often, pain allows you to change. Pain is the greatest motivator for change, for improvement. You know, so take as much as pain as you want, and they come to the point where they say, ah, "That's it. That's it. That's it. This is not what I want, actually." And then they see when they're in a position to know what they don't want, exactly that is the time when they know exactly what they want. So they can move bit and bit that way, towards that direction. They can lean towards that direction. But their programming always puts them back there. So it's got to be a continuous push and pull. You push it, it pulls you back, you know, until this this belief or this change subsides and goes in your unconscious, it goes in your subconscious, because that's the thing that basically is driving you. It's what you have put in there, and your worldview and the spectacle, so to say, I would say, that you're seeing the world is through your beliefs. True or false doesn't matter. It's for you if it's a belief, and if it's a core belief even, that's how it is.
and we just got a question from Yara. She's
Mm-hmm.
asking, what if someone is kind of addicted to pain?
Well, you just said it's an addiction.
And it's not healthy.
No, I mean, if it's an addiction and they're thriving under this addiction, then that's their choice. You know, I mean, right now we can say this after knowing so much, uh, it's no more destiny and what happens and let's see and so forth. It's a matter of choice. It's a moment to moment choice that you're doing, because life itself is only in this moment. You have this picture that there's a past and you have experience and you're worried about the future or things you have from the past. But mainly, what everything's going on is going on right now, this moment. It's moment to moment. So in this moment that you're addicted to it, and you're saying addiction, if you're okay with that addiction, it's fine. But if you have enough pain, in German they call it Leidensdruck, the pressure of pain, okay, that will slap you around. And if you don't do anything about it, it's going to slap even harder. until you get a nervous breakdown or whatever, you know, until something clicks.
Okay, so if you say that pain can be something that clicks and encourages us for a change, but
Pushes you towards something, yes.
I also think that sometimes we can consciously discover our beliefs that don't serve us,
Hmm.
you know, in
You're
a
already a
daily
step ahead.
life.
You are already a step ahead. That's good. That's good because you're already moving towards that direction. And beliefs, as you're saying, they have different levels. There's some which are very deep inside. It's like a core belief, and that's what I wrote my thesis on, where I said it had to be also scientific because I couldn't just go woo woo about, you know, what is going on with ourself, with our spirit, and so forth, and the beliefs and what they are. And it's called core belief creates human life experience. And to change a belief, you can change certain beliefs which are not that in-depth yet, where you can also question it, where it comes up and you're questioning it, is it right or not? But the core belief, that's deep. That's deep. And when you go through a certain process and to find out, and that's a lot to do with self-awareness, and you see it and you feel it, it's a lot, you feel it a lot too. Then, in this case, despite knowing that is a problem, and you're trying to do something about it, it doesn't seem to work. So you got to do different strategy, go step by step. As sometimes they say, how do you want to eat an elephant? You know, not in one gulp, a bite at a time. This is how you keep on moving and getting momentum to going to the path that you want to go. But during this path, you'll always be pulled back because your belief, that's like a rubber band that keeps you back. So bit by bit, you have to loosen it up.
We got a question. What are some common core beliefs? Can you give an example? Because I think I gave one about understanding love.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very much depending on the culture, on the person, and a lot of things that you've been getting. Core beliefs comes a lot actually from that part of the childhood when you come until 7 that you're there. You know, what you've taken in without knowing that you took it in, and that could be, for example, that life is a struggle. You have to be keen. You have to cheat to find a way to make a living. And one thing, not really, that the most important thing that I found out, that life is a struggle. Money is dirty. I'm not worth that because money is dirty, and a lot of terrible people have the money. I love it. I love to have that possibility of being prosperous. But then your stronger belief is saying money is dirty and it's for dirty people. That's why you always have this kind of a blockage towards real prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. These couple of ones are pretty very big that I've heard very often as well.
And then you said the thing that we see the world through our beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So there comes a question for me. So is there true, or it's just how we see the world? So is it right to say that world is different for everybody because everybody has different beliefs and, you know, they see the world differently?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. It goes even deeper than that, that everybody has his own path, his or her own path in this space-time reality, so to say, that we are. And that's why it's very important to get to know yourself better than just to follow or copy others. That's the most important thing, a message that I can give. You have to get to know yourself better, and through self-awareness, you do that. And what I'm telling you is something that I went through and I am going through, because there's no ending to getting to know yourself. There's a lot there. And when you get to know those parts of yourself, or these different angles of yourself that you didn't know, your belief automatically changes to a certain extent, because it's not the same thing that you knew before. And looking at this also a bit in a scientific level, the scientific part, Thomas Kuhn, he was the person who he was a professor in Harvard University, and also coined the name paradigm. And that was mainly just for scientific purposes, for when they're doing the examinations, to know what the conditions are and so forth. But paradigm has become something which is very mainstream now. And the other thing he said about paradigm, just let's bring it now that to the day-to-day life. You have a certain belief, you have a certain worldview, and that's your paradigm, let's say, okay? But then a crisis comes in. A crisis means all these things that you believe, you think that's how things work and so forth. You see something that is showing you it's not that way. So it's a crisis. So you're like, okay, what's this? How can I change it and so forth? And then after the crisis, so to say, is persistent, you start dealing with it. And when you deal with it, your belief changes, your paradigm changes, and there becomes a paradigm shift. There's a new paradigm. And that can keep on going on and on and on until you're perfectly fine with it. And this is also another way. I'm putting a bit of science and also information from others, everything so to get together. This is how this seems to actually be working.
I heard some people, you know, they find out about beliefs that don't serve their lives. And I know a girl who is like journaling every day, and she's like writing those sentences and like trying to reshape her beliefs. For example, if she, you know, if someone thinks I'm not worthy or I'm not beautiful, then that person would write in a journal every day, I am beautiful, or like, world is open and, you know, full of good things ready for me. So do you think that this positive thinking actually work, like mantras or like notes on the walls?
Okay, this is something which is very interesting, and we've been hearing this all over the place, and that's why I'm saying it's get to know yourself better before you can see. I mean, try everything out. Be curious. Try everything out. But one thing that I can tell you that will not work is when you've been filling yourself with unworthiness, and that you have to see where that came from first, or that I'm not beautiful, where that came from first. Or where is that coming now? You see all these, you know, because all this, the multimedia and so forth, you see all these pictures or friends and so that they're so beautiful that I'm not, okay? Because this is so deeper inside, and you say, you know what, I'm beautiful. And inside you say, yeah, right. That's a response. Oh, the world is so open, so great for me, and you know, everything is there for me. Inside you say, try again. You know, so basically, it's not thinking positive. Thinking is a good start, but it's feeling positive. There are two things: thinking and feeling. Feeling positive. When certain things that are happening, and you get a certain sensation or certain thoughts that comes that you don't, it's not in alignment with who you actually really are. The best questions to ask is, what must I believe to think that this is true? What must I believe to say or to think that this is true? And there, certain things come up. Importance, again, is to get to go more and more in regards to self-awareness, to go in that path. And that will already clear up a lot of things. There is a mindfulness that helps that. There is meditation that helps that. And sometimes when you say meditation, the first picture that comes in the head is some Indian sitting on these needles going like this, you know, which is, yeah, it's done too. But that's not a meditation. It's thousands of different ways. Find the one which is good for you. Meditation that doesn't mean I'm sitting there doing nothing. No, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. Because what are you doing? You're trying to focus. The chit-chatter in your mind is going off, and you're trying to either calm them or trying to put them aside and focus. And then one of the best way of focusing is breath techniques. Sit comfortably and focus on your breath. And what is happening during the breath technique? You're in the moment. Because of your conditioning, it pulls you out. Then you come back in. It pulls you out. You come back in. And you do that. It could go on hundreds of times. But the more you do, the better you get. And that's how the brain works. Another example that I give people how the brain works, if they're right-handed, I'm like, okay, write with your left hand. I'm going to try it. And as you're doing it, see what's going on in your head. See what's going on with your body and so forth. But believe me, whatever you write, at the end of the page, you'll be much better than the top of the page with your left hand. So that's how quickly the brain plasticity and how the brain also works. It's all there to support you. Your whole body, your whole system, your whole cells are there to support you. Understanding this is also a knowledge, which is the case, but also that becomes a belief. If you're believing that the world is against you, your body is against you, you're fat, you're ugly, you have issues with your heart and so forth, and you're focusing on that the whole time, it gets much worse. In that moment, it gets much worse. And there are also tests that your intentions can change the fabric of material reality. I did it myself too. I'm a critical thinker. I did it and I saw it does work. Your thoughts don't stay inside. They go out. You ooze out these things. Let's call them vibes. You know, you've heard about vibes, vibrations, frequency, vibes. It doesn't stay inside. It gets similar things that are in the same vibration, same frequency. And they all come together. Higher frequency, lower frequency. Demons are on the lower frequency. Love is in the high frequency. Just feel the difference, you know?
Yes.
And you feel it. You feel it. You can't think it. You feel it. So
And
just take some practice.
I really liked how you said, you know, when you experience that your body is in bond with you and your brain is working with you, that can change your belief, right? If we can, because experiences create our belief. We have new experiences. Through new experiences, new beliefs can be created or old ones exchanged, right? If we, like,
that is correct. Experience can come and it can update or upgrade or get rid of the old ones, bring in the new ones. That's for sure. It can be done. But as I told you one thing, if you're sticking to one kind of a similar levels of vibrations with your thoughts, with your beliefs that basically ooze out of you, the chances of you getting new and better experience to change that is quite rare.
So what is energy, and can one direct and influence it?
Energy, basically what we found out now is everything. We don't really understand it fully, but we can just kind of, science is getting into it bit by bit. And the change, the difference are, because I also looked into that, there is, before the Newtonian physics or classical laws of physics, they separated matter and energy. They don't have nothing in common. But now more in the quantum mechanics of which is over, I think about almost 100 years old, that's in there. They're seeing certain things that has no relevance to classical physics. When you go into the bits and into the micro, into particles, and there it shows that in the atmosphere where the consciousness is, the consciousness can influence matter. Consciousness, your intention can manipulate or influence physical reality that's around you. So I was curious to see how this actually works. You know, I just don't take it like that. I mean, they have all the science for it. So one thing that I did myself, because I saw that happening often, I did it actually twice, because the first time I was still skeptical. I'm like, what is this? So basically, I took 2 different jars, cleaned them up. I took a potato, I cut them in 2, and I put them into different jars, okay? And with one, I brought within myself all the negative thoughts and feelings that I have. And I kid you not, I did this. And I forced it into there, and when you're thinking something terrible and bad, it consumes you, okay? And I did that, and I focused on this part, and I said how much I hate it. I despise it. I despise this feeling. I despise you. I despise this whole thing. And I put a minus on it. That's just so I know it. And then I had to shake around a little bit to change my vibe, because I went to a very low vibe. And I thought of things that would open up my heart. How do you open your heart? when you love something. And for me, the best thing to open it up like this, well, I had this little dog before, and this eyes, and when it looks at me, I just melt when I think about it. And my whole thing changed, and all the love that is there. I mean, those feelings, I put them all together. And I looked at this other one, I said, oh my God, I love you so much. I mean, like an idiot initially. This is so great, and I really kept it to myself, and I put a plus on it. I put it in the cupboard, and I closed it. 2 or 3 weeks later, I completely forgot about it. I opened it up, and I said, what is this? I'm like, this is what I tried to do. I take him down. I look at them, the one in minus, the one with the plus. The plus one was all dry, and the part of it was like, you know, when you have potatoes for a while, these things starts growing, you know, little green things on it like that. And the other one, a bit of a water was under it, a bit of a, you know, liquid. And I hit it around, it goes, I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I opened it up. Oh, goodness. It popped open. It popped open because there were gases in it, and it stank. I had to throw it in the toilet. And the other one with the plus, I opened it up, and it was nothing. So I did it again, and I got the same. I did next time. I did it with rice. It was leftover rice from the Asian guy that I got. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's try it again. I did the same thing again. Similar thing happened. With one, I had one little dot, the plus, a little dot of black thing. With the other one, the whole thing was filled green and this hairy mold that was on it. So, and this has been also tested by this pseudo scientists. They call it pseudo because we don't really understand it, but we can see that it happens. Where he said that what your intention on water. Bless the water. Bless the water. The same thing I did with the potato. Do that with water, okay? And then they froze it, and then they look at the crystals, the positive and the negative, and they were the same water. It was completely different. So now imagine your thoughts, which is going on inside of you. Every cell of your body is in a way conscious, and they're getting the information. Imagine you have all of that, and you're giving them, I'm ugly, I'm bad, I'm terrible. That feeling, that terrible side of the jar, you're getting that. How do you think that will influence your cells? You're made out of 70% or more water. See? And that happens with placebo and nocebo. That's the same. Placebo is a positive intention, positive, from the positive side, positive belief. Nocebo is a negative belief. And they both are, and we know as a fact in science they're using this placebo. They're doing the test, the control test, also with placebo, which is answering. And I've seen enough documentaries about this, which, I mean, you cannot deny.
So that way we become who we are telling ourselves we are, and the world around us become what we're telling ourselves world around us is. I actually noticed it with my own life that, you know, when I managed to find those beautiful beliefs in world kind of like opens for me. Like if I leave my house expecting good things to happen, and I share that energy, share those beliefs with world, then I feel like it comes back to me. You know, I maybe just because I see it better, because I am looking for it. I remember when I was little, not little, when I was a teenager, I would like stand in front of the mirror, like really close, looking to my face, trying to find what to hate. And my mom would come to me and she would be like, Gintare, stop doing this. Everyone who is looking for something finds it.
Yeah. Or sometimes, I mean, this has been going on forever. You hear it in different cultures. They say different way. When it pours, it rains, they say, okay? Be careful of what you wish for, you know? And all these things, you know, that has been there. It's because of certain experiences that has happened. And science itself, and to be rigidly on the science side, that's also, I don't think that's the right, proper manner. You have to be more open to it, because there are a lot of things that science as such cannot measure. In energy psychology, They do a lot of things with energy. And from they're all professors, they're all educated from top-notch universities, but they're curious. That's why they've opened this up. There's another institute called Heart Math. What happens through your heart, basically what it gives out electromagnetically, so to say, it's, I think, 1,000 times more than what goes on the brain. You know what it does. So they're looking into that too. So basically, also with energy, they're seeing that things are happening. You do certain things and you get this kind of a response. But why? It's still kind of a question mark, because we don't know. And because science altogether is 400 years old. You know, science is something which is, you know, is to be continued, you know, in progress. This is what it is. And you've seen that with all the researchers. One simple one, they told you years ago, eggs are bad for you, terrible cholesterol, this or this and that. And then another science, they come and go, oh, by the way, excuse me, we're mistaken. Actually, it is good for you, you know. So what are we, guinea pigs? You know? So not really sticking to one thing rigidly. And some of the scientists that I worked that are very rigidly on a scientific mind frame, I said, listen, science before told us, science if you can call it, sorry, before those who knew, they said the earth is flat. And then they go, oh, by the way, it's not, no, it's round. Oh, we're in the middle of the universe and the sun goes around us. Oh, no, the sun is there and we go around the sun. Oh, this is the solar system, that's our universe. They're like, no, we have a, and it keeps on going. We're in the Milky Way. Oh my God, we're looking through the telescopes and so forth. We found that these galaxies, there are billions, hundreds of billions of them around. See how through that the belief can change. You know, that is something which should be dealt with. And one thing which is, I think, very important for humanity is learn from history. Learn, because it's going to repeat itself. You know, there are these things that we got to know that we should think about. We should be critical. We should not take everything in. There's a lot of nonsense things that they could say it's scientific. They put a certain link also, especially in this social medias, where I actually go and look and it's complete nonsense, complete nonsense. So I have to write back, please, 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 don't write this nonsense here. A lot of people don't even look at the researches. So be very aware of what you're letting in.
I recently have those feelings of, you know, not understanding what true is, because we have so much information around, and opinions become facts. And I kind of just try to start living my life accepting that I won't know all the truth.
Well,
But
that's a so to say a big mouthful, so to say. And as I said before, it's good to go one step at a time. Because if the truth, as you would like to know, or I mean myself like to know, and sometimes it depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. The truth is, what you're seeing, what you're sensing with your senses, is only a fragment of what truth is. A fragment, and not more than that. There are people where they have near-death experiences and how their belief changed. You don't have to die to understand that. You can be while you're healthy and alive, but at least learn from them and try to contemplate. There are enough people that has happened. Also, funny enough, with like a neuroscientist who's a Harvard graduate, a neuroscientist, and a neurosurgeon. And what happened to him? He got this disease, and he went into coma. And that disease basically made his brain stop completely, like a vegetable. But he remembers what happened to him. And he came back, and he went through certain phases, and all the doctors said that he doesn't have chance and so forth. Everything was, he recuperated, and his experience he still remembered, and he said that cannot be from my brain. Because a lot of times they say when you die, you see the light, and this is the thing in your brain, and no, it's not. And he gives interviews, he gives seminars and so forth. And his name is Eben Alexander. You can look into that. The guy's amazing. And how his belief changed towards this thing that we call reality, which is just a fragment of that. And what is reality anyway? You know, it depends on your belief systems mainly, you know, and everything that you already put in. And that, you know, will be the reality for you. Absolutely. So if it's up to us, why don't we, you know, play with it, have fun with it in a way, if it's possible. Change it, improve it.
We got one question. So someone asks how beliefs become accepted and supported by a group of people or a population. And I think that it's important to add that, and it's interesting to see how around the world, if you go to different cultures, you know, where something is accepted in one culture is like food they eat or how they bury people after they die, and then
Yeah,
in other societies it's
right.
absolutely unacceptable. So
Yeah.
how does it become accepted and supported?
Well, you have to see, first of all, again, I would go back into this thing. We say group of are made of individuals. And it depends on the individual, on each individual, so to say. But on the other hand, looking at group dynamics, a lot of times we also found that when their groups are huge, the way of thinking and so forth comes down because you're part of the whole, you know, and you just follow. There are a lot of followers, you know, and those who are very clear and dominant on what they think, what they believe, they could not be a part of that. They're the alpha or the omega, either the one who's taking the lead or the other one who's saying, guys, you're all wrong. You know, it's right because of this, this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
So going into the group itself, it depends on the individuals and their readiness for certain change. Why are they there? You cannot push anybody to do something. You cannot push anybody to believe something different. If they're fine, why not just let them be fine? If they're fine with it, why not? You're only then wanting to change if you're not fine with it. If you're in pain with it, if you want to improve it. But if you're having good dandy life, why do you want to change it? Have fun. Why should you change anything? Okay, the sun comes out like this is a spirit, this is God, this is me. I don't care. I'm having a good time. Yeah, why not? That's fine too.
Yeah, I like it. I feel
Yeah.
like most of the time, you know, especially Western culture, we try to come to other cultures and tell them what's right and what's wrong. But if they're happy living without internet and living without,
Mm-hmm.
you know, other acceptable things for us,
Right.
in my opinion, let's just leave them alone if they're happy with it, you know, if they're
No,
dancing, if they're...
that is fine. See, there's one thing that this whole COVID has. I say we should learn from this and not repeat history. What has happened is that we're all in it together. Okay, we're all in it together, and other than Darwinian, so to say, theory, survival of the strongest, you know, and competition, you know, who gets that. That for me and for many is not exactly, it's not the full way of looking at it, or maybe it's actually completely wrong, because it's not the survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the most adaptable, and not competition, but cooperation is something that will get us further. Because if you're going to do competition, what has been happening till now, when you look at history, everybody wants to nuke the other one out. You know, my place, your place. No, no, this is my culture is better than your culture. This is not. This is like, you know, and where are we? If you get this, and this is how beliefs begin to change. We're sitting here and we think everything's steady. You know, nothing's moving. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. Everything's fine, but that's wrong too. We're moving at 1,500 more than that kilometers now, going around each other right now. We're zooming through the universe with over 100,000 kilometers. That is the truth. That is a fact. But we're not sensing it because it doesn't matter to us, you know. But in that case, that's what a lot of astronomers, when they left planet Earth and they saw it, despite knowing all the information, they saw this planet as something so beautiful. No borders. The thing that gives us Air, water, food. It's like our great mother. And if you see it that way, I don't think you're going to litter on the floor. I think you will be more cautious about what you do with the planet. You see it as a living organism. That's another belief that will come in, that will change you. And these are how things gather up.
Yeah, I agree with it. Ulvia, I think, wants us to touch a parental setting on. Is there
Parental
anything
setting?
we? Is there
What,
anything
what,
we can discuss on parental setting, on
what do you mean
belief
parental setting?
systems?
Well, it depends on the belief of the parents. It very much depends on that. Teach them well. Let them know more. Let them know more than what they are, than what they believe they are. You, of course, when to children and kids and so forth, you motivate them, because that has a lot to do with how they're evolving. You know, if you say whatever you do is not good enough, you're ugly. Oh, the other girl, your sister's better looking than you. Your sister gets A's and you don't. You know, what are you doing to this person? They say, we pay you so much, we do so much for you, and look, what are you doing? Your father got a heart attack. Do you think this kind of a feeling, this kind of a guilt will help further? No, bring them up. Bring them up. Support them. And by the way, parents, you should learn more too before you say anything. Not the stuff that you learned before, it hasn't served you, but you said, that's how life is. This is how life is. This is how I learned it. Okay, look at you. Are you happy? Maybe. Do you think your child would be happy? If I'm happy, then she should be happy. Well, that's your opinion. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. See how they are. Look at the real thing of what the child is.
And I really noticed that, every parent probably repeats their parents' formulas, and because
that's what they
like
learned.
being in a relationship shows me a lot. I spent a lot of time on myself, traveling alone, and I was like, oh, I know a lot about myself. I thought I made myself a good person, but then being in a really close relationship showed the most about me to me.
That's
And
right.
I really notice how in some situations I say something and I'm like, oh, that was my mom.
Ah.
It wasn't me, That's what my mom would have said. And it's really interesting to start exploring, but what do I really believe? Yes, you talked about going to the core of yourself, finding out what's really important to me, not to people who, showed me the life or what should be important. And Emilia asked us, and we talked about it a little bit, but maybe there is something you could add. How do belief systems reflect on our relationships?
Everything. Your belief system is you. Everything. The point is here, even I think, I forgot his name, that's terrible, but he was a Greek philosopher, I think, Heracles, I think. He said, your character is your future. In other words, you create, through your character, through the things and the choices that you do, and now we know it's more than choices. We know that it's also, your belief doesn't stay inside, goes out. We told about the law of corresponding. Some people say law of attraction or whatever. It all exists, but not understood properly. But law of correspondence, so it corresponds with how you feel, that your surroundings, so to say, and your experience. Okay? So that is everything. So if it's something regarding a relationship that is bothering you, go and find out what are the main things that you believe a relationship be. What is it that will make, the best thing is writing it down for yourself. Nobody has to see it. What are the things that for me are important, and this for me is a good relationship? And see it and read it and see if it's yours or if it's your mom's. and you were, of course, so it's perceptive enough to see. I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my mom. Some people, they don't see it. It's right in front of their nose. They don't see it. You know, you already, you know, evolved to that position to say, actually, I'm thinking. You're critical about certain things about yourself. But being about yourself, I'm talking about the self. How are you being with yourself? When you look inside, you noticed, I noticed this personally, that I was extremely rough and tough and very bad with myself in many things, in many beliefs. And I'm like, who the hell is this? This guy's a sadist. You know, coming to me because you're thinking of this, and this other voice comes, no, 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 no. You know, you're this, you're that. You're that. I'm like, who the hell is this? I never heard of that. I felt something like that, but I never saw it so clearly. So
Mm-hmm.
how to change that bit by bit so it suits you, so you can go, so it's sustainable. And when you fall back, don't worry. It feels a lot like you never improved. But you're now in this moment, which is not the moment before. It's not the one before. It may look like it, but it's not. So it could be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Could be. And that's how are you with yourself? You're kind with other people. Are you kind to yourself? Telling yourself you're ugly, you're fat, you stink. Is that, first of all, true? What does that to your self-esteem? You want to bring up your self-esteem and you knock yourself down? You know, it's these things are good to look at. And alone by knowing them, that's a great point to a great starting point. And then how to change it comes with practice and repetitions. So you start sinking into your unconscious, into your subconscious.
So what I hear is that belief systems are really easily formed, and they're formed most of the times without us knowing, but
Mm-hmm.
they're really hard to change. So my last question would be, you said, go deeper, don't stay on the surface, find out why you
Mm-hmm.
believe this and that. Is it possible to do on your own, or it's a lot easier, with the help of therapists?
Naturally, that depends on your character. But if you have someone that initially would support you to find the right guideline, that's very important. You can go and do it yourself. Naturally, you can see YouTube videos and this and that, and somebody says this, somebody says that. You can do that naturally. But going with someone which you also in therapy, I've noticed. It's not because this guy's the school is psychoanalysis, or this one is cognitive behavior, or so forth. That's okay. That's the school, but it has a lot to do with the person himself and your mutual, so to say, work together. I got a lot of clients, or they like to be called patients. I got them from others. They passed it on to me because they told me they just didn't feel well with them. And I said, why? Once, for example, because his character was this way, as he was talking about the problem, the therapist goes and says, oh, so that was terrible for him. Maybe it's good for another person. Maybe another person liked to be seen, to be felt sorry for, maybe. But this one didn't. This one says, oh, it doesn't help me. What should I do? So having this kind of a guidance is very important, yes.
So it's important just to find the person that you feel good with, you feel safe going into, secret places of yourself to explore and change
Yes.
something. So if anyone listening feels like Ali is a safe place, safe person to explore with, you can have a session with him on Tokitus platform. And I'm really thankful for our conversation. It was really insightful. And thank you all for joining. We have those therapist couch live sessions every Wednesday, 4 p.m. GMT time. So we will update you on our social media on what the next topic is going to be. And you have a good, I don't know, evening?
Yeah, it's about 6 in the afternoon now. Yeah.
Okay, it's 11 a.m. where I am. It's a
Okay.
beautiful world.
All right, that's it. How great it is. Yes.
Okay, bye
Okay, thank you
bye.
so much. Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
all. Bye bye.